and they put like chicken. You can put cheese with it, beef, and it just tastes good. Yeah, just go to Juicy Beef, research it, look it up, save it. So when you go to Jamaica, you can taste it. But at that time, we could, my sister and myself could afford patty and cocoa bread and Big Joe. Big Joe was, yeah, a box drink. I mean, I tell you, say, for the whole time we were going to high school, box drink, Big Joe, cocoa bread, and patty would kill us every single day. Every single day. And I remember one day we saved up and decided we were going to go to KFC, you know. So I think we were in like, I was in third form and my sister was in, I don't remember what year you were in, Kim, but I think probably she was in fifth form at the time because we were 2 years apart. So, and we were going to the same school. So I remember when we did save up and decided that we were going to go to KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, that place. Yeah, man. So we decided we decided to go ahead and buy some KFC. I mean, I tell us, we save up the money for the whole week, you know, because at that time we were selling the Bobby and the black cherry. So we're able to do that. I mean, I tell us, say, some people in life, you know, them just walk and just watch, you know, because I tell us, say, at that time, my neighbor go tell my daddy that we go buy, you know, KFC. I mean, I tell us, say, it was just 2 little piece of chicken, you know, 2 little piece of chicken. My daddy find out and asking us where we got money from to go and buy KFC. You understand? I mean, say, a lot of mercy, seriously. But anyways, that was it in terms of, you know, our big KFC. Yeah, but that was it. When taxi fare increased like, you know, $10. So it was the same $500 you were getting, $40 to go, $40 to come back, and that's $80. So that what leaves you with $20. So you need to get additional $20. So how we ended up getting the additional $20 was we were selling the Bobby and the black cherry, and that's how we ended up with the extra $20. Myself and my sister, so we still had the $40 to maintain this Big Joe Big Joe patty and cocoa bread lifestyle for the entire high school days. But we never really complain about anything. We never really complain about anything. We were just going to school, getting our education, coming back home, and using our lamp. You know, go to bed, wake up, bathe in the outside bathroom, and school again. You understand? And that was it. Then after, like, I was there, you know, at that time, the government was giving away, not really giving away, they were paying for certain amount of subjects. They were paying for us. That is why we have to make that change for our kids. Exactly, Herbert, exactly. So at that time, the government was paying for, I think they were paying for, maths, English. They were doing computer science. I think it was 3 subjects or 4. I don't remember, but I ended up doing 8 subjects in high school for CXC. And at that time, it was, the government was doing that. And so I needed to do more subjects because I said, no, Sammy can't come out and just do, but because my parents never had the money. You understand? We could hardly find that tuition fee, not tuition, but school fee. We call it at that time. We hardly had that money to pay for our school fee at that time. So much as to go and tell them that you want to do 5 more subjects, where they going to get that money from? You understand? So I think we were able to get 2 more subjects. I don't remember how it go, but I went ahead and, because as I say, I was going to church, and you know, church people, them support you, you know, them support you. So they're always good people out there. You understand? But there was a elder who I said to him that I wanted to go ahead and do the subject, but I was short. I wanted him to pay for 1 if that was possible. And he went ahead and paid for all 3 of them. You understand? He and his wife. And that was good. I think it was 3 or 4. Yeah, he went ahead and paid for all of them. You understand? Me asked for 1 and the Lord blessed me with 4 more, 3 more, and that was good. So I went ahead and did all my subjects, and then afterwards passed, and I was like, oh Lord, what am I going to be doing now? Because no, me can't afford, you know, high tuition for college. So what am I going to be doing? Because remember, it was a struggle going through primary school and high school. Where am I going to get money from now to go ahead and do college? Like, that never, no plans was in place them time there. You understand? But at that time, I was there, and I don't remember. Oh, my church. So at my church, there were so many persons there that were in university. and they're always encouraging persons, the young folks in the church, to make sure that you get an education. And it was Adventist university, so I'm an Adventist, so I decided that just like everybody else applying for universities, some persons never have no money, me I apply too, you understand? And that's how I actually went in. I started out with going to university because they told me that, yeah, you can do the work and study at the time. So I took up the opportunity and started. And even though I never, had the money at the time and the amount of money that they were paying you for student labor, it wasn't much money. You understand? It wasn't much money, but it was at least a start for me. Because, me always tell myself, so once you start something, you must finish. Even if it take you 10 years to finish, you will finish. So the first thing you need to do is put your foot out there. And that was just it. So I started. I never know anything about student loan at that time because remember, I never really have no computer. Because when I was in high school, the library was my best friend. So I had to go to the Mandeville library in the evening and then try to make it back in time to catch that bus to go back home. You understand? Because taxi never really that frequent around my section there, because as I said, down that side was very lonely. So if you need anything, you go to the library, research, and then you head back in the town. So it was like that. So I never really know anything about student loan like that. And plus, never really have no TV if you watch to see if there was any advertisement. Any advertisement or anything like that for, student loan that you can actually take. And it's not like in the States here where some communities, them have newspaper throw at you. Your house where you can be like, oh, let me read the newspaper and see that they were advertising. No, it wasn't anything like that. You understand? The newspaper that we had access to were a newspaper that was already old. You understand? The only reason you had those was because you're going to put it together. You're going to tear up the newspaper to put it in the tomato, the box with the tomato, so the tomatoes can ripe a little bit faster and prevent it from kind of squeezing up and all them things there. So the newspaper wasn't there for, you reading and getting up-to-date information. No, it wasn't like that. But at that time, I started college, and I started out with the work and study program. Never knew, anything about how the tuition going to be paid. And so I was just going there. You understand? It's always nice when you're in a situation and you don't know what you're doing, but you see other persons out there doing it, and you just feel like you can figure it out. You understand? You can figure it out, and you're going to be one of those persons. And that was just it for me. So I started out and was working. And then I remember that this lady, I was working in this cafeteria on campus. I was working in the cafeteria on campus. And she said to me, why not think about why you don't take out student loan? I said, student loan? After me, I don't know about student loan. But anyways, she told me about it. So I go on the campus now, the main campus, because I was on the other side of the campus where they had this restaurant. So I went on the main campus and was researching it, and I did my application. I was just kind of waiting, and then I did go through, so I was able to start school the September. And at that time I wanted to do nursing, but for some strange reason, because there were a lot of student workers at the time, when I did my application, one person had called me and told me that I couldn't get in for nursing. So my next best thing was teacher education. And I was trying to figure out what it is, because they were saying I couldn't get in for nursing because I needed human and social biology. And I'm like, I thought you guys would have wanted straight biology versus, over H&S bio. And I was like, you know what? Nothing now gonna stop my show right about now, because me need to get an education. I need to kind of exit out of, this kind of situation. So I say, okay, then no problem. I can't get in a nursing. I am just going to go into the next best thing, teacher education. So I started out with business education, because I did well in business as well. And I did that application. I did got in and started out. But I always wanted to become a nurse. And so I went back to the enrollment department, and I'm like, I'm kind of curious as to why you guys don't want, straight bio, because I have straight bio. I had the subjects, but they were saying that, I needed H&S bio, human and social biology. And so I spoke with someone there, and they're like, no, we don't need you to have H&S bio. We prefer the straight bio versus the H&S bio. So they were able to get me into the department of nursing. But the problem is that you have to, so even though I was able to get in, I wouldn't be able to start until the following year. Because if you understand the nursing program, They do it on a, like, you know, you have to start at a specific time. And it's the same thing. If you miss a course or if you fail a course, basically you sit out for the entire year. It was the same thing. So I had to, you know, just continue. But the good thing about it is that I was doing only general education courses at that time, because I was like, you know what? I'm not going to kind of rush into doing some courses that probably won't be transferable, because I had them. I knew I wanted to do nursing. But for some strange reason, I never wanted to do pre-college, to do H&S bio when I had a straight bio. But, you know, sometimes when you come from country, you might not want to talk up a little bit and you're just shy and all them stuff there. That was just me. So I never really go ask somebody who looked a little bit older than myself why, you know, if they say, oh, you can't get in because you needed that, that was just it. Me just turn me back and just cut. You understand? But I come to realize at the time, later on, that she was like a student nurse as well. So she was clueless like myself. But yeah, so I never did anything that was outside of like the general courses in the first semester. So all of those courses were transferable into my nursing program, and then I got in to the nursing department. But then getting into the nursing department was another struggle as well, because when I was there, my sister loaned me I had a pants and my sister loaned me a blouse, and I never had a decent shoes, because, you know, you want to wear a shoes that is going to be closed up and you want to look professional, like, you know, professionally when you're going in for your interview. And I remember me telling some dressed like pussy, you know. What me tell you, I was so well dressed to go into the interview, and it was raining at the time, so I never wore my shoes because I never wanted it to get wet. Because at that time, the only thing we could afford at the time was a shoes that they were selling in a bag. They had some little plastic bag in the town, and it was like a black suede shoes, and I think it was like about $500 at the time, but it looked good. You understand me? I was just looking at it to say, okay, me have on my pants and me have on my black shoes and my blouse, and me ready for my interview. When I reached into the interview, did my interview, after one person from the panel, she came out and she's like, okay, Stacey, that was very nice and whatever, you know, she's looking forward to, you know, seeing me in classes. And then after I hear the director of nursing come out and say, oh, Stacey, oh, I'm so sorry, but you should have wore a skirt. I say, Lord of his mercy, what you tell me say today? Yeah, you know, you're coming for an interview next time, make sure you're wearing a skirt. So I said, that's it? A skirt? But at the time, you know, it was an Adventist institution, so I don't know if that was it. And they were very, very specific as to who was coming into the department. You understand? You had to look a certain way and all them stuff there. Yes, there was a specific look. But in my mind, I was so excited about my interview. Me never did think about say, you understand? I needed to wear a skirt, because if you look on campus, like almost everybody was wearing a skirt, because it was just that, especially for the nurses, they were always wearing skirt and they always just look really well put together. I should say, yeah, so unfortunately you weren't appropriately dressed for the exam, not the exam, the interview, so you're gonna have to come back another time if you want to do. I'm like, Jesus Savior, help me. You understand? Anyways, I went outside and me tell you some ball. I cried. Yeah, I cried. Anyways, I went back and the same blouse, the same shoes, and I get a skirt, and I go back into the interview for a second time, and I got into the department. And that was it. But may I tell you, say, yeah, that was just it. That was just it. But, you know, like every step, there is something there that is kind of, you know, preventing. Yeah, every step of the way, there was just like something there preventing. But anyways, I went in, did my program, and while I was there, as I tell you, I mean, I struggle. You know, I was struggling. I was still working as a student nurse, and I was still working as a student on campus. And at that time, you know, with nursing, you really can't work. You really can't work because you had summers to do. You know, you had the regular classes during the semester to do. And so it was good because I was always not really a workaholic, but me always do something. And that was it. I had a job in like the finance office, and every second, as soon as I run out of class, I run gone to do a little 1 hour, 2 hours. You understand? And that was just me back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it wasn't much money, but it was enough money to, you know, like pay for, you know, if I needed a little food, because no, it was the 3 sisters of us that were in university. 2 of my sister, my other sister, one of my other sister, she was doing accounts, and then my other sister was doing teacher education, and I was doing nursing. So it was the 3 of us, and it was a little bit easier for us to actually find a place closest to, you know, the university. And so 3 of us was there in one room, one little bathroom, because when you look at the rate that you would have to spend for, or the amount of money you'd have to spend on taxi fare back and forth for the 3 of us, it never made no sense. You understand? So it was cheaper for us to go ahead and get a little house, rent it, and we walk back and forth to school. And that was just it. So it was so much cheaper, because, you know, sometimes you can't go to your bed hungry. You know them way there. You can't tough it out 1 and 2 night. But that was just the easiest way for us and the cheapest way for us, because you're looking at, like, say, rent for $10,000. And when you look at the amount of money that we would have needed for probably 1 week, because taxi fare at the time was $150. Times that by 5, you almost reached $10,000 for one person already, and the week not done it. You understand? And if you're thinking about food as well. So it was just like so expensive for, you know, for persons to be back and forth traveling. And so that was just the easiest way out for us. But may I tell you, say, at that time, I was working, and at that time, you could actually get a little petty cash, something like a petty cash from what you're working. It wasn't much, but sometimes I would get probably like, say, $10,000, and that would help with the rent, or I would buy groceries, and that was it. But there wasn't much money. There wasn't much money. And as I say, my parents were working, like, you know, working like that. They were doing the same little odd jobs and all. You understand? Sorry. So, I remember at that time, my mom still had the little shop. And as I said, the shop wasn't like anything like no big haberdashery and all them stuff there where you look in the store, in the shop, and everything on the shelf. No, when you look, you see probably six bottle of soft drinks. Scatter. Scatter on the shelf. She have a little flour, and she have what else? Sometimes I say to mommy, Mommy, why not just close down the shop? But you know, you have some persons, they just want to be doing something, even if you don't really make no money, or if you don't really make no sense. So anyway, she continued doing her business, and every time I go down there, I'm like just shaking my head at me. I said, no, sir. But at that time, we never really did take taxi that often, because as I say, we were in the town, and we were like, say, walking distance, like a 10 minutes walking distance from the school. So sometimes she would send up some money. Yeah, man. So sometimes she would go ahead and she would send the money. And at that time, remember I tell us the taxi fare is what? Probably like $150, almost $200 per head. $200 to go, or $150 to go, and $150 to come back. And she would normally send up some money, and she send some groceries. But the grocery, and I'm like, no, what about grocery? It wasn't like a ton of groceries or anything. She would send up some grocery. But when she sent in the grocery, because my university was it's a Seventh-day Adventist university, so they only serve like, you know, vegetarian food over there. You had a restaurant across the road that they would serve like not Chick-fil-A. Why am I saying Chick-fil-A? Fish fillet. You understand? And that was it. But otherwise, it's a straight vegetarian. Yes, the Marsha. I went to NCU. Yeah, man. So it was just like you know, straight vegetarian food. That was it. So anyways, we started to not really, well, one of my sister became vegetarian, and my other sister and myself, yeah, we eat the same chicken. We never did pork, shrimp, and all them stuff there. But anyways, we eventually tofu, veggie trunks, yeah, man, them stuff there on campus, because when I get my little money, I would go ahead and buy from the store on campus. And so may I tell you, say, veggie chunks, because they don't serve anything else. Veggie chunks, tofu, all them stuff there would have kill we. You understand? So when my mother decides that she's going to send us some grocery from the shop, she's sending up 1 tomato. 1 tomato. Like 1 single tomato, you know, not 1 pound of tomato. 1 single tomato.